Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
General Hospital spoilers for the coming 2 weeks, December 22nd to January 2nd, reveal that Willow Kane will supplicate Drew Kane while Carly Spencer takes a big threat and Jen Sidwell throws a bash. Michael Corinthos will also land in some trouble, so let's bandy what's ahead. During the week of December 22nd to 26th, Dante Falconeri and Giovanni Gio Palmieri will try to get through the family tree trimming gathering without breaking out into a fight. With some help from Sonny Corinthos, Laura Collins, Lulu Spencer, Rocco Falconeri, and others, Gio and Dante should manage to keep the vacation fests happy enough. Over with Portia Robinson, she'll turn to Ava Jerome as a confidant and maybe admit she'd prefer for Isaiah Gannon to be the father of her baby. The maternity test hasn't happened yet, but Portia might start imagining a new future where she's raising this child with Isaiah. As for Harrison Chase, he'll get some unfortunate news. That could affect Willow's trial, but effects may swing back in her favor depending on the intel Alexis Davis is about to score. Will Alexis find out about Michael being at Drew's house the night of the firing and learn that Tracy Quartermaine is covering for him? If Martin Gray or another character passes updates along after wiretapping at the Quartermaine manse, Alexis may have a new direction for her defense strategy. Still, there'll also be a situation where Willow begs Drew to have a change of heart. It's possible Drew will decide Alexis is wrong and that he needs to flash back Michael as the shooter, especially if Michael suddenly looks shamefaced in court. Drew might view this as the perfect chance to put Michael behind bars, but Willow may worry about him lying on the stage and putting Alexis' defense of her in jeopardy. Willow's trial is going to reach a shocking conclusion sooner or laterly, so stay tuned for all the chaos. In the meantime, Carly will take a big threat and maybe prove to Valentine Cassadine that she's still all in on their Jack Brennan vengeance plot. As for Britt Westbourne and Brad Cooper and Lisa Lobrecht will spend some time reflecting on what they've to be thankful for this time. GH will be pirated on Thursday, December 25th, but the action will pick right back over with a new occasion on Friday, December 26th. Sidwell is going to host a fancy party at Windmere, so we'll see how that bash might go wrong. It just isn't a cleaner festivity unless there's a host or some other hitch to make effects redundant intriguing. The week of December 29th to January 2nd could bring a many tricks up Anna Devayne's sleeve. Anna might try to outwit Pascal and perhaps indeed carry out a flight plan, but there's no guarantee she'll be suitable to break out of that dungeon on Ladle Island. Back with Sidwell, he'll continue to throw demands and pitfalls at Laura as well as Sonny. Nonetheless, Sonny and Laura won't give up on uncovering enough of Sidwell's docket to sink him. Carly Spencer will also move forward with trying to sink Jack Brennan, but hiding fugitive Valentine will come with further close calls and complications. Since Jocelyn Jacks has been assigned with exposing Barbara Saunders' real identity, will she find suggestions that point to her own mama being Valentine's fake counsel? After Cody Bell receives advice from Tracy, he might eventually have the guts to profess his passions for Molly Lansing Davis. Will Cody clear up the Brit confusion and eventually take Molly on a date? Leslie Charleson had been a dependence as fiery Dr. Monica Quartermaine since 1977. So the show demanded to go each out to recognize its longest-running actress when she passed away in real life, and they did. Monica was set up having passed peacefully in her bed by her son Jason, in a shifting performance by Steve Burton, which was fitting as he's the last surviving member of her immediate family. He broke the news to Tracy, Cryas Jewel to Jane Elliott, who was indefectible throughout this bow, and they participated their private grief before word spread to her numerous loved bones and sanitarium co-workers. Flashbacks reminded us what a hustler Monica was, pressing her battle with bone cancer and her rumbustious fights with hubby Alan. Monica's honorary service stretched over multiple occurrences with characters including Ned, Elizabeth, Laura, Jason, Michael, and Tracy participating, touching stories of the croaker and family dame who had touched so numerous lives. Other highlights included the gathering to hang Monica's picture on the GH honorary wall next to her cherished partner, and Jason's less public goodbye to his mama. But the farewell to this memorable character would not have been complete without some final juicy drama. After all, Monica anchored some of the show's all-time most tantalizing tales. So in came Monica's preliminarily unknown family Ronnie to inherit the Q manse. Tracy exposed that for the scheme it was, and, in the end, learned she had been left the cherished house that belonged to Monica. TJ Ashford met Molly Lansing Davis as teenagers all the way back in 2012, and they grew into a charming yet unconventional brace who did what utmost cleaner dyads do and stayed together. While there were some blips in the road, ranging from infidelity and gravidity to sometimes tyrannous maters, it sounded like there was nothing they could overcome, indeed multiple recasts for both characters. He came a croaker, and she came a counsel, classic cleaner professions with lots of occasion for drama. But when the drama came, it left TJ in the dust. Christina agreed to be Molly and TJ's surrogate, but eventually, the baby failed, and the loss tore the brace piecemeal. At the end of 2024, Molly and TJ, who had been domestic mates since 2021, reached the sad conclusion that their fancies for the future were too far piecemeal for them to move forward as a couple and that they demanded space. What suckers didn't realize at the time that said space would restate to a full-on exposure by TJ, who didn't make a single on-screen appearance in all of 2025. The character had been on the show for times and was the launching member of the Ashford family, but didn't indeed rate an on-air goodbye? Molly doesn't feel to flash back TJ's actuality as she flirts like a high academy girl on a first date with Cody. Heck, Jordan slightly mentions her only son. Observers were invested in the free-hearted TJ, most lately played by the talented Taj Bello, and the complete erasure of this character is both baffling and unfortunate. In 2024, when GH started dropping the not-so-subtle anvils that Gio was the retcon son of Brooke Lynn and Dante, we were vended on the idea of yet another surprise seed in the Corinthos/Quartermain sphere. But boy, did the show pay it off when it came time for the verity to eventually come tumbling out. The big reveal was set up for maximum dramatic impact, affecting not only Gio, Brooke Lynn, and Dante, but their extended families. The spark was Lulu putting the pieces together that her longtime rival Brooke Lynn had intimately given birth to Dante's baby as a teenager, eventually leading to her discovering, ahead Brooke Lynn, that said baby grew up to be Gio. She brazened Lois, who had placed her grandson with family musketeers behind Brooke Lynn's back, at the nurser's ball, and Gio eavesdropped. In a star-making performance by Giovanni Mazza, he took to the stage and sarcastically devoted his performance to his parents, Brooke Lynn and Dante, two people who didn't want me. Who didn't claim me. They gave me down and have been lying to me my entire life. He also smashed his violin on the bottom and stormed off, leaving Dante gaping at Brooke Lynn like what? As a single gash ran down her face. In the rich fate, so numerous dynamics changed. Brooke Lynn said about Lois had prevaricated to her, Dante said about Brooke Lynn had prevaricated to him, and Gio said about just how important he could count on Emma. GH really stuck the wharf then, and the results were mesmerizing. Replacing a core character is hard, especially when the actor has been in a part as long as Chad Duell had, and getting suckers to incontinently accept a new actor is indeed harder. But the putatively insolvable happened when young and restless Alan Rory Gibson stepped into Michael's developer shoes. It helped that GH rested the character in between portrayers, injuring Michael with a lemon meant for Sonny and transferring him to Europe to recoup. Michael's woman. Willow carried on with his Uncle Drew while he was gone, which added lodging value to the cuckolded character while he was off-screen, and a posterior guardianship battle bending Willow against Michael's family erected to his awaited comeback, which didn't fail. The music literally swelled when Gibson's smoldering new Michael paraded into the nurser's ball sporting a tuxedo and a smile to laid Wiley up and advertise they were going home. Since also, his comeback has been filled with a fury that works on all situations for this major character reset. He's clicked with critical screen mates, from television parents Maurice Bernard and Laura Wright to implicit commanding ladies Sophia Matson and Paige Herschel to sparring mate Cameron Matheson, and can persuasively be both tender and tenacious. All by each, Gibson impeccably embodies Michael's ruminative straddling of the Corinthos and Quartermain worlds, fitting in seamlessly as the golden child of both families whose life has been anything but golden. GH treated us to masterful, old Academy cleaner conniving by making Drew so odious it gave half the oil good reason to want him dead. Sonny and Carly both had motive after Drew broke up Michael's family and helped Willow try to take his kiddies. Ditto Michael for the same reason, plus the general aggravation of having to hear to your woman have coitus with your uncle in your children's playroom. Curtis had a 40-what fallout with Drew at Aurora, and he also knew the baddie was blackmailing Portia and had turned in Aunt Stella for insurance fraud. Martin hates Drew and was also irritated about Stella's arrest. Portia begrudged being blackmailed by Drew and was in hot water for paying Jacinda to medicine and betray him, and she conceivably got pregnant the night of the firing when she slept with Isaiah. Portia's CO conspirator Nina told Drew she'd see him dead if he hurt Willow. Willow, who's the one standing trial for the crime, had been paying a huge penalty for inviting Drew into her life. Suggestions have continued since the September firing to keep the story front burner, like Tracy passing she saw Michael outside Drew's house that night and Curtis telling Jordan he offered Selena Wu $1,000,000 bones to off Drew. The tale also has ripple goods onto characters we know for a fact didn't do it, like Trina and Kai, who were in Drew's house and heard the shots, and Chase, who's risking his job and conceivably his marriage in his hunt to prove that Willow is falsely indicted. Between the long list of suspects, those probing or executing the crime, and the characters trying to expose and slash or cover them, this still ongoing story successfully spiraled in virtually the entire oil in a way that has come lamentably rare on daytime. Don't get us wrong, we're clearly happy to have Ryan Pavey back in the Port Charles blend after a 7-time absence. But therefore far, the comeback of Nathan has yielded veritably little in terms of plot fireworks. Prospects were high when the actor returned, especially when he promised, "We've got some fun stuff planned. We're going to stir the pot," and professed, "I wouldn't come back for commodity vanilla." 3 months into his stint, vanilla is, sorely, exactly what observers have gotten. Nathan has no explanation for where he was, and has participated no visits with his slow woman, Maxie. He's had precious little to do since reuniting with his favored bones. Outside of reclaiming his PCPD emblem and sparking a connection with Lulu that so far hasn't amounted to important. The jotting girding the possible riddle of whether Nathan is truly indeed Nathan has been spotty, and no logical tie has been established with his family Brit, who also returned from the dead this time without explanation. However, it's not doing so with any great instigation. If this bow is erecting up to some kind of big twist, the show was dealt a bad hand then when, after important anticipated comeback by daytime Emmy winner Jonathan Jackson in the summer of 2024, the actor asked for an early release from his contract this spring, forcing the show to write a hasty exit for Lucky. Liz and Lucky's romantic reunion no way got off the ground, and also one day, out of the blue, he was proposing. Lucky claimed that all he wanted to do was spend the rest of his days with Elizabeth and her boy, but she gently turned him down, noting the incompatibility of their cultures. In short order, Lucky was making plans to leave city, and after some sincere goodbyes with Laura, Lulu, and Liz, he hopped a airplane with his and Liz's son, Aiden, who would be joining him for the summer. With that, Lucky was gone, formerly again, and his abrupt departure left Liz stranded, formerly again, in Plot Siberia. In the numerous months since Jackson's final air date, the show has made little trouble to figure out a meaningful plan B for Rebecca Herbst, who remains sorely underused. We're fervently hoping that in 2026, the actress will be given a story good of her fashionability and gift, commodity far more substantial than educating observers about mites. Admirers of Jocelyn Jackson / Dex Heller got to see Carly's willful son retaliate the death of her police officer by shooting his killer just as she got evidence that he was going around boggling people with Duracifol, and Brennan helpfully got the crime scene gutted up, remonstrating off her new alias-inspired bow as a council pupil by day, WSB agent by night. But, with all due respect to the gracious Dex, it was his demise that suckers were clamoring to see redressed, not when Cyrus killed freakin' Sam McCall, one of the show's longest-running and most popular heroines, whose ties to the oil were far deeper and further generous. When Sam was so severely boggled in 2024 by the devious Renault, she left behind 2 grieving children, a mama, siblings, a fiancé, a former maiden supercoupledom and a legion of outraged and worried suckers. How Cyrus got his punishment, which is to say, without Alexis, Dante and / Jason's direct involvement, burgled suckers of seeing moments that would have brought a better measure of emotional satisfaction and check. Because Brennan disposed of the body, Cyrus is technically only still missing in the eyes about most of Sam's loved bones. So they do and indeed get the benefit of knowing that he met a violent end at the hands of someone who had also suffered a great loss via his murderous conduct. Away, Laura and Martin grind over the fact that their lunatic family just faded when they should be spooked he might resurface and hurt someone differently. Our Dream 2026 story? Trina finds the sanitarium wristbands in Joss's hole and innocently takes them to the police, blowing Joss and Brennan's involvement in Cyrus's death wide open. As Port Charles prepares to ring in the new year, the fallout from old scandals and the spark of new betrayals promise to make the holiday season anything but peaceful. The final 2 weeks of the year, from December 22nd through January 2nd, will see alliances tested, secrets teetering on the brink of exposure, and one character making a desperate, heartfelt plea that could alter the course of a high-stakes trial. From the hallowed halls of the Quartermaine mansion to the grim dungeon of Spoon Island, here is a comprehensive look at the turmoil, twists, and tantalizing drama ahead. A holiday on the brink, family feuds and festive risks. The week of December 22nd aims for holiday cheer but delivers underlying tension. Dante Falconeri and the recently revealed son he never knew he had, Giovanni Gio Palmieri, will navigate their first family gathering as father and son. With the guidance of peacemakers like Sonny Corinthos, Laura Collins, and Lulu Spencer, they will strive to keep the Falconeri-Palmieri family tree-trimming party from devolving into an open conflict. However, the emotional wounds from Joe's explosive revelation at the nurses' ball are still fresh, and every interaction is laden with unspoken history and raw feeling. Elsewhere, Portia Robinson seeks an unlikely confidant in Ava Jerome. With the paternity of her unborn child still a mystery, the test results pending, Portia may confess to Ava that her heart yearns for Isaiah Gannon to be the father. This opens a door to a future she scarcely allowed herself to imagine, one built with Isaiah rather than Curtis, further complicating the tangled web of relationships in her life. Meanwhile, Harrison Chase receives a piece of devastating news that could directly impact the trial of Willow Tate, forcing him to balance his duty as a police officer with his unwavering loyalty to the woman he loves. The trial of Willow Tate for the shooting of Drew Kane remains the epicenter of Port Charles intrigue. Alexis Davis, fighting with every resource as Willow's defense attorney, is on the cusp of a major breakthrough. The key may lie in the hushed conversations within the Quartermaine mansion. If Martin Gray or another keen-eared individual passes along the crucial gossip about Michael Corinthos being at Drew's house on the fateful night, and Tracy Quartermaine's subsequent cover-up, Alexis could gain the ammunition she needs to pivot her defense strategy dramatically. However, a parallel crisis unfolds as Willow herself makes a personal, impassioned appeal to Drew. Fearing that the pressure of the trial and his fractured memories will lead him to consciously or subconsciously recall Michael as the shooter, Willow will beg Drew for a change of heart. Her concern is twofold: she fears both an innocent man being condemned and the catastrophic perjury charges that would follow if Drew lies under oath, thereby destroying Alexis's defense and guaranteeing her own conviction. Drew, seeing a golden opportunity to rid himself of his nephew-turned-rival, may be tempted to let his resentment guide his testimony, setting up a monumental clash between truth and vengeance. While legal battles rage, other risks are being taken. Carly Spencer will double down on her dangerous alliance with fugitive Valentine Cassadine, taking a significant gamble to prove her commitment to their shared goal, destroying Jack Brennan. This act of trust could bring them closer to their objective or blow up in their faces spectacularly. In a quieter moment, Britt Westbourne, Brad Cooper, and Liesl Albrecht will share a scene of reflection, acknowledging the bonds of their unconventional family and what they have to be thankful for amidst the chaos. Note: GH will be preempted on Christmas Day, Thursday, December 25th, but returns with a brand new episode on Friday, December 26th. The action resumes with Jen Sidwell hosting an opulent, high-society bash at Windmere. In true Port Charles fashion, a perfectly planned soiree is an invitation for disaster. Whether it's an uninvited guest, a shocking confrontation, or a scheme coming to light, the party is sure to end with more drama than it began. New year, new peril, escapes, exposés, and emotional crossroads. The following week, December 29th to January 2nd, raises the stakes even higher. Anna Devane, trapped in Pascal's dungeon on Spoon Island, will employ every trick in her legendary spy handbook to engineer an escape. Her intellect and resourcefulness are her greatest weapons, but Pascal is a cunning foe, and her breakout is far from assured. Sidwell, not content with merely hosting parties, will continue his campaign of intimidation against Mayor Laura Collins and Sonny Corinthos, hurling demands and angry threats. Yet, Sonny and Laura are not so easily cowed. They will work in tandem, determined to piece together the full scope of Sidwell's agenda and find the leverage needed to dismantle his power permanently. Carly's risky path grows more treacherous as she continues to harbor Valentine. Every moment he remains hidden in Port Charles increases the chance of discovery, leading to nerve-wracking close calls and escalating complications. This secret mission also places her daughter, Jocelyn Jacks, on a collision course with the truth. Tasked by Brennan with uncovering the true identity of the mysterious lawyer Barbara Saunders, Jocelyn's investigation could very well lead her to the shocking realization that her own mother is the one in disguise, protecting Valentine. This potential discovery threatens to shatter the fragile trust between them and put Jocelyn in immense danger. On the romantic front, Cody Bell, armed with advice from the ever-shrewd Tracy Quartermaine, may finally muster the courage to lay his heart on the line for Molly Lansing Davis. He must first untangle the confusion surrounding his brief connection with Britt Westbourne and clarify that his future hopes are firmly centered on Molly. Could this lead to a long-overdue first date, or will Molly's complicated past create new obstacles? 2025 in reflection, the highs and lows of Port Charles. This pivotal holiday period caps off a year of monumental shifts, profound losses, and surprising returns in Port Charles. To understand the current landscape, one must look back at the stories that defined the year. A fitting farewell to a legend, the passing of actress Leslie Charleson necessitated a send-off worthy of her iconic character, Dr. Monica Quartermaine. The show delivered with grace and emotional power. Monica was found having passed peacefully by her son, Jason Morgan, a poignant moment delivered by Steve Burton, representing her last immediate family. The news rippled through Port Charles, with Tracy Quartermaine, Jane Elliott in a flawless performance, bearing the initial, private wave of grief. The subsequent memorial service spanned episodes, allowing characters from Ned to Elizabeth, Laura to Michael, to share touching reminiscences of the formidable healer and matriarch. The ceremony placing her portrait on the hospital wall beside her beloved Alan was a classic, tearful tribute. Yet, in true Quartermaine fashion, the drama wasn't over. The arrival of a previously unknown sister, Ronnie, claiming inheritance of the mansion, was exposed as a fraud by Tracy, who ultimately learned the cherished home was left to her, a perfect, bittersweet end befitting Monica's legacy of fierce family loyalty and conflict. The disappearing act of T.J. Ashford, one of the year's more baffling narrative choices, was the complete erasure of T.J. Ashford. His and Molly's relationship, which began in their teens in 2012, weathered immense storms, infidelity, infertility, the tragic loss of a surrogate baby. Though they became domestic partners in 2021, the cumulative strain proved too great, and they amicably split at the end of 2024. What followed was a total absence. TJ, a founding member of the modern Ashford clan portrayed with warmth by Taj Bello, vanished without an on-screen goodbye in 2025. His mother, Jordan, rarely mentions him, and Molly's life has moved on as if their profound history never existed. This unexplained void has left a notable gap in the canvas and frustrated fans invested in his journey. A retcon that resonated, when hints emerged that musical prodigy Gio Palmieri was the secret son of Brooke Lynn Quartermaine and Dante Falconeri, skepticism was high. However, the execution of this retcon became a masterclass in soap opera revelation. The truth unraveled with devastating precision. Lulu pieced together the secret before Brooke Lynn did. Lois confessed to arranging the adoption, and Gio overheard everything at the nurses' ball. In a star-making turn by actor Giovanni Mazza, Gio took the stage and delivered a blistering, sarcastic dedication to his parents, two people who didn't want me. Who didn't claim me. Before smashing his violin and storming off. The rich aftermath, exploring Brooke Lynn's betrayal by Lois, Dante's shock, and Joe's fractured trust, transformed a plot device into compelling, character-driven drama that reshaped multiple family dynamics. A seamless succession in the Corinthos clan, replacing a long-tenured actor in a core role is a Herculean task, but the recasting of Michael Corinthos with young and the restless alum Rory Gibson has been a resounding success. The show wisely gave the character a rest, having him injured and sent to Europe. His absence allowed tension to build as his wife, Willow, grew closer to his uncle, Drew. Michael's return was staged for maximum impact, with Gibson's commanding presence immediately felt. He has since embodied Michael's unique position, the brooding heir to both the Corinthos and Quatermain empires, with a potent mix of vulnerability and fury. His chemistry with key players, from Maurice Benard's Sonny to Cameron Matheson's Drew, has reinvigorated the character, making his quest for justice and family feel newly urgent. A classic whodunit weaves a web, the shooting of Drew Kane has been a narrative triumph, expertly weaving together nearly the entire canvas. The brilliance lies in making Drew so thoroughly despised that he gifted half the town with a motive. Sonny, Carly, and Michael wanted him gone for tearing apart Michael's family. Curtis resented his business maneuvering and his blackmail of Portia. Martin despised him. Portia feared exposure for her role in a seduction scheme. Nina vowed revenge if he hurt Willow. Even those uninvolved, like Trina and Kobe, were pulled in as witnesses. This sprawling, interconnected mystery, with its endless ripple effects, including Chase risking everything to clear Willow, has been a masterful return to the complex, town-wide storytelling that defines the genre at its best. Returns that fizzled, not every comeback has landed with equal force. The highly anticipated return of Ryan Pavey as Nathan West, after a 7-year absence, has, thus far, lacked the promised fireworks. Despite initial teases of stirring the pot, Nathan's reappearance has been curiously subdued. He's offered no explanation for his disappearance, shared no poignant moments with his comatose wife Maxie, and his budding connection with Lulu has simmered without boiling over. The potential mystery surrounding his identity feels undercooked, and the link to his sister Britt's similar return is unexplained. For a character whose death was a pivotal moment, his revival has yet to justify its own intrigue. A sudden exit and a stalled story, the show was dealt an unfortunate hand with Jonathan Jackson's abbreviated return as Lucky Spencer. After a summer 2024 comeback filled with potential for a reunion with Elizabeth, the actor's early departure forced a rushed exit. A sudden proposal was gently rejected by Liz, citing their incompatible lives, and Lucky soon departed town with their son, Aiden, for the summer. His exit once again left Elizabeth in a narrative void. In the months since, the immensely popular Rebecca Herbst has been woefully underutilized, relegated to subplots that fail to harness her talent. Fans continue to hope 2026 will bring her a story worthy of her status and ability. An avenged death, but a missing legacy, the culmination of Jocelyn Jack's quest to avenge Dex Heller's death, shooting his killer, Cyrus Renault, kicked off a promising new chapter for her as a part-time WSB agent. However, this arc highlighted a lingering frustration. While Dex's death was avenged, the murder of Sam McCall by the same villain was handled with far less emotional resonance for the canvas. Sam, a legacy character with deep ties to countless residents, was brutally killed, leaving behind children, a mother, siblings, and a devastated fiancé. That Cyrus's demise was orchestrated by Brennan and kept secret means most of Sam's loved ones remain in the dark, robbed of the closure of knowing her killer met justice. This narrative choice left a poignant chapter of grief frustratingly unresolved for characters like Alexis, Dante, and Jason. As the year turns, Port Charles stands at a crossroads. A baptism of fire begins for some, encouraging words of love are spoken alongside angry threats of vengeance, and the ghosts of the past year are determined to shape the future. One truth remains constant: in this town, the greatest celebrations are always interrupted by the next great scandal.